still love this song. Like, it's crazy. I don't know why.
Indeed.
Episode 49 of the Freedom Cage podcast, where we lock in to a free state of mind on all DSPs, of course. But to my right, I got my main guy, my ace. My left, when my right is weak, also known on all socials as Mr. SenorLee.
You know.
And me, I'm Kenny, man, known as KenKapnik on all those socials, including TikTok now. But turns out you need 1,000 followers, which Freedom Cage Podcast now has, to go live.
Yeah.
So we'll get those numbers up later. But come check us on TikTok if you got the time.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, man, episode 49, man, last one of the year, you know what I mean? Before we come back with the big 5-0 to start up next year. But before that, man, how you been, man? How's life?
Everything's good, man. Everything's good. Getting close to hitting the big 3-9, man.
Damn. Not even 38 special no more. Like, you're just 39 now. Like, it's weird between 38 special and 40, man. But how you feeling?
Sir.
You feeling
Yes,
bones good?
So far, so good, man. I
complain.
have to admit, the workouts it's starting to catch up to me.
Oh,
You know
don't
what
tell
I
me
mean?
that. You my hope.
It's starting to catch up to me, man. A lot more breaks in between reps. Definitely like just being more methodical with my workouts now. Like I don't even run as much as I used to, trying to preserve these knees. You know what I mean? Trying to stay as far away from the orthopedic surgeon as I can.
Need to.
And but other than that, I feel good, man. Just when we release this 2 days from now, you know what I'm saying, November 17th, your boy's turning 39, man. Scorpio gang.
Another lap around the sun, man.
Indeed,
Another
man.
lap.
Thank
Congratulations and early happy birthdays to you, my boy. That's what's up,
sir.
man.
Yes,
Yeah, man,
sir.
39. I would ask if you have any special plans, but it's not really your job. We might let you know another time. You know what I mean? But that's what's up, man. Blessings on blessings.
No
But
doubt.
work's good. Family life's good. Everything's kosher.
You know what? Everybody's just worried about Thanksgiving,
Okay.
Christmas at this point, so work is gonna be pretty smooth. So yeah.
Damn, Christmas. Yeah, right around the corner.
Yeah.
You ready working on a list yet? It's too soon.
Honestly, it's tough this year because I don't really want anything, but I know I need something.
We always need something. You know how that go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
New J's dropping. I mean, when you get older, you get more into technology, start looking at laptops more, like phone upgrades. Yeah, it's different when you get a little older, but gotta make a list, man. Make sure Santa gets it.
Yeah,
Wink,
yeah,
wink.
definitely. Me and wife, we were talking about it. My son is easy these days. He's like Roblox gift card. I'm straight.
Can't beat that. Can't beat that. Like, you know what I mean? If that's all that's on the list, just gotta go hard and make sure you get it. Like, it's
That's
easy
it.
money. Easy money. That's what's up.
What about you, brother? How's it going?
Everything is pretty smooth. Just got over the flu. That was trash. Hit the whole family like a hurricane. But everybody's on the upside of it now.
Alright,
Slight
alright.
coughs, but doing all right. Last weekend was my oldest first real basketball game. You know what I'm saying?
How
So
was it?
a lot of emotions, you know. But it's a learning curve, unfortunately. So we're not going to talk about the score. It's all about the effort, you know what I mean? But shouts to baby girl Savannah. She's doing big things with that. And in Canada, she has her upcoming game this weekend for the first time. But she's 6 right now, and they put it in the biddy league. So I assume it's just a lot of, as they say, self-confidence boosters for the children, you know what I mean? So we'll go support, bring the pom-poms, you know what I'm saying? But basketball for the kids is looking real good so far. Looking real good. Looking way into the future. But right now it's decent. They're having fun, which is the point right now.
Definitely. So I know she's just starting. Are you already one of those parents that's trying to coach the coach?
It's funny because going into the first game, I told myself, say, yo, bro, relax. You know what I mean? He's like, in first quarter, I was cute as a cucumber, man. You know what I'm saying? It was cool. Then you looking up at the scoreboard. You know what I mean? Clock's ticking. You like hands start rubbing. You know what I mean? You kind of just trying to stay a parent on the sidelines, enjoying the game, making sure your child's good. But
Mm.
as the third quarter comes and our fourth quarter's coming, you start standing up, inching towards the edge of the bleachers, poking the coach like, "Yo, man, I think it's time to go to that play we talked about, bro." You know what I mean? But I was able to keep my cool for the most part and just let the coach coach. You know what I
Mm.
mean? There's a lot of angry eye contact, but nothing was ever said. You know what I mean? But it was pretty smooth. I was able to maintain my cool.
All
My
right.
wife, on the other hand, she had a hoarse voice at the end of the game. She wasn't doing a lot. She was doing just enough to be like, "Oh, that's her mom."
Yeah.
Got it. But you know, the Nelsons, we kept our cool. It was a really cool experience for everybody.
All right.
I must say.
All right. Cool. Cool,
But
man.
other than that, though, can't complain, man. Kids doing good. Days off just keep popping up for no reason from school, but we never really had this many.
Yeah.
I don't know when they increased, but we never had this many days off before Christmas. Not this
Yeah,
many.
man. Yeah, I agree. I agree,
It's
bro.
just crazy.
Yeah. So before we get into the question segment, right? It's a little different episode this time around. We just want to say happy Veterans Day. We know that it just passed
Yes,
on the
yes.
11th. You know what I mean? We definitely want to say it was happy birthday for the Marine Corps on the 10th. And, you know, we just want to thank you all for your service.
As
We have
always.
friends, family, colleagues. Thank you all, man.
Yes, yes.
Can't thank you enough.
Much appreciated. As always.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh man.
So let's just get into it. We know why y'all are here. We thank you. Make sure y'all hit the subscribe button. You know what I mean? Check out all the content. Check out the merch. You know, we got that up as
Hoodies is
well.
up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, first up, man, and this is, I think everybody can relate to this first question. Have you ever been in the middle of a conversation and faked like you remembered something the other person said just to keep the conversation going?
I think I do this twice a day. If it's either at the home front or at the office. But by the second, third sentence, it comes to me, and then I could get back on track to where we were. But initially, those first 2 seconds, I'm usually a little vague. So I'm like, okay, go on. Yeah, And then I could be able to roll into wherever we were going. But that first couple seconds, sometimes it's usually foggy. We talk a lot, but definitely do that often, daily.
Yeah,
How about
I'm guilty, guys.
same?
So for me personally, I have a lot of sarcastic friends, and I think at this point they've learned my Sean don't know what the fuck I'm talking about right now. Like they know at that point, and it'll happen in two ways. Especially my wife, she'll be like, "Do you remember what I'm talking about?" And I'll straight up look at her and be like, "Nah, man. Like, I just love you so much that I didn't want to stop your flow. Like, you was in the middle of a great delivery
Damn.
in the conversation. I didn't want to be that guy that stopped you in your moment, right? Like, to your point, once we get further into the conversation, it'll probably click. But then there'll be times, bro,
Never
it'd be
clicks.
like,
Never
we be
clicks.
deep. Like,
He said we on like chapter 2.
it'd be
Like,
5 minutes in, and I'm like, I have no
I
idea
said, what
who
are we?
John is. Like,
I said, I'm gonna have to fake a phone call soon.
Yeah.
Like, get up out of here.
I have no idea who this person is, but yeah, I'm guilty, you know, and it's really just like I've learned these days, and I think it has a lot to do with everything that I have going on. I don't have time for small talk that much. I really don't. So I care about what somebody's saying, and in those moments, I just don't want to have to feel like they have to break it down. It's not fair to them. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. In a way, it's fucked up because I'm probably not getting the full value of the conversation because I don't remember all that key part. But I have to unlearn that. I have to learn to say, listen, honestly, I don't remember what you're talking about. Can you explain?
Mm. I respect that, but me on my side, with like you said, just trying to avoid unwanted chit chat.
Yeah.
Like coworkers gone for like a week or two, come back from vacation. Oh, Ken, look, you got like let me just stop it there, man. Yo, you had fun? Yeah, dope, man. Welcome back. Are you eating lunch with us, or because I got to get back to work, bro? I can't really, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, happy you're back, bro. Happy the plane was right, was safe. No manifest shit happened to you, but
Word.
I'm good, man. I'm pretty sure you had a ball, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I wasn't there with you to experience like the sunset.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The balcony view. I wasn't there, so
Mm-hmm.
just tell me you had fun. It was cool. Let me know where not to go next time, and
Yeah.
good. I don't need the nuance. I don't need all that. I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Hate hearing all that. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna remember it in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah. No, it's so for real.
I'm
Man. So
not.
for
I'm
real.
not. Mm-mm.
All right. So most of you know Elon Musk officially purchased Twitter. And there's a lot of things he's been demanding.
Demands, implementing,
Yeah.
removing. I haven't felt the impact yet. Me and my 22 flowers, but I haven't felt the change. Uh, I feel like there's a lot of extra, negative words, flying around, but
Mm-hmm.
it's the world. It's not a happy place.
All right.
But
So do you feel like we're witnessing the demise of Twitter after his takeover?
for what the app delivers, no. For what the people that was needed to create that safe world of Twitter, absolutely.
Mm.
All the security personnel, the fact checkers, a lot of them seems to have been released. So without them, unless you were employed by Twitter and you're no longer an employee, Twitter for everybody else is pretty much the same, unfortunately. I mean, I don't have any issues. Like you said, I'm sorry, like I said a little while ago, the
Mm-hmm.
negative words have ramped up a bit, but that's society. It's not a safe place anyway. Um, Only thing I do see coming soon with Twitter would be like more of hey, this is not a PG-13 kind of place anymore. It has grown up.
Mm-hmm.
So if you aren't of that age, I think that might be coming soon. Where you gotta be, and that's more of a are you 21? Yeah, it's not gonna be any real credential check,
Right,
but
right.
that little disclaimer I think is gonna be coming soon.
So there were two implementations that had me like, ugh. So definitely him, and this could be nonsense, right? I don't know, but there were rumors that people who were using pronouns
Hmm.
were going to have to pay double because supposedly they are
More than
not
one.
classifying as one person.
He, she, they, them.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
That one that one was a little much. I hope that was fake. And I know the LGBTQ plus community is strong, so I'm really hoping that was just like some fugazi reason.
Yeah, there's really no way to regulate that, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but you mean more so for like for verified accounts that now I gotta pay the fee or
No, if they have pronouns in their name,
period?
period.
Hmm. Let's roll the dice, man. See what happens. I'm curious to know how it plays out because sometimes those he, she, I get it. I totally get it. But when shit hits the fan, you have to commit to one side, like jail time. You got to pick a side. Like I hate to jump ship, but it was an influencer in Florida. Um, he has become an official she. She did something to the cops. Cops arrested she, but she's ID said he.
Mm-hmm.
So he went to he jail.
Mm-hmm.
Shit got real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She's trying to, hey, I've made a change. This is what I identify as. I should be put in the facility with those I identify with. And they kind of shot that down.
Hmm.
It's more of a safety issue at this point.
Yeah.
But that's just a weird gray area. Like it's cool to be aware of all those pronouns, but when shit hits the fan, you may have to pick a side.
But if we're talking about a prescription, that's a reach. I mean, prescription, a subscription. Like, that's a reach.
From a business standpoint, I'm I'm charging the user. If the user has multiple versions of them, it might be a great area where I could give you like a family plan.
That's a reach, bro. Like, that's a
Hey,
reach. Like,
the fact that he's charging is a reach. Anything's on the table now.
bro, hey, listen. Twitter has been free for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people have profited it off of it, and if he chooses to want to, have people pay for subscriptions, it is what it is. You know, people have to figure out whether they love Twitter enough to pay for it, and you will have those people who will pay, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when we're talking about, because I have pronouns in my username, and you're gonna try and charge double, which I just think this is fugazi. That's a reach. Because the classification doesn't justify the means to charge me twice.
If this is a rule that I'm implementing, then drop the pronouns.
So then now it's an offense to the LGBTQ plus community. Now you're really going into a dangerous territory.
Then pay the fee. That's just. I think that's Elon's stance on it. Either pay the fee for your multiple uses of separate pronouns, or don't. It's one or the other. You don't. It's,
That's where the reach. Like, I totally get where you're coming from, but that's where the reach is.
of course, big reach.
All right.
I mean, extensive reach. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
anyone's gonna go to that extent. I'm pretty sure it'll never get this far. But if it did and it hit the fan, I'm like, we're not gonna do it. He's like, well, you can't do it here. Now what? You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. We'll see. It's interesting though. It's a cool, unfortunate, gray area he's exploring, but it's gonna be fun.
And it'll be interesting to see how the community goes after him, which is why I don't see it happening. But yeah.
Go on. What do you mean?
Oh, so if he decides that you can't have pronouns on Twitter,
Hmm?
that's something that's like a legitimate thing as far as awareness. So if you take a stance that you can't identify yourself with your pronouns on my platform, that's clearly a target on the community,
On what, humanization?
on their identification, the way they identify themselves. Because now, if I come on Twitter and I call you a he,
Hmm?
if you had your pronouns, I would know how you want to be addressed. You don't have your pronouns now, so now that leaves the door open for me to identify you the wrong way.
I think he's not trying to strip those identities, but just make it very cut and dry. Because right now, everybody's happy living in that gray area of the multiple pronouns. If he's stripping all that away and he takes it as rudimentary as like, hey, scan your ID. What your ID says is what we're going to register you as. And that's the end of the story. Until states and licenses start going by all these other pronouns as well, like professional and registered licenses. Why do I have to abide by it?
The same way you abide by a nickname on Twitter. That's not your
It's a handle.
handle is not your real name.
It's just a handle. A
So
handle you can
then-
have.
So then if I add a pronoun, then it shouldn't be an issue. If I can have a handle,
Mhm.
I can have a pronoun because
Right.
it's not my identity.
It is. It's your at.
Right. But it's not on my license. You just said scan the ID. That's different.
And this is now Twitter, where your at is your name, not your at being your name and your pronouns associated with it. That's no longer your ad anymore. That's
That's
beyond you.
that's a totally different subject
How so?
because now we're talking about he's changing the handles to your actual legal name.
Illegal.
That's
Hmm. I don't think I moved that goalpost that much.
yeah. You said scan the ID.
No, if he cut it where it's either A or B, period.
That's not what he. So that's not what it's saying. It's literally saying you can have whatever handle you want. We just don't want you to put they, them, he, his after it.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally what it's going after. You can be HR fuzzle stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't have parentheses they, them.
Don't see the need.
It's,
I don't see the need for it.
it's
If you got to, if you want to, I hear you. I get it. I get it. I get it. But I don't like in that space. I don't see the need for it. Anyway.
Alright, so we'll definitely leave that to the
Oh yeah, the people gotta let us
listening, you know
know.
what I'm saying? 'Cause
I'd love to be educated a bit more on why it's absolutely needed on Twitter versus like your professional LinkedIn or like something where you're advertising your business outside of Twitter, of course, because Elon doesn't own those. But if that's a platform he's controlling, he kind of has the final say on it.
and that's why I feel like it's the demise because I feel like he's going to rip this. He's either going to turn it into a cash cow
Mm-hmm.
or
That's the
milk
point.
it into the a shell of itself and then push people to another platform that he has, I guess, more of an investment
And
in.
that could be the play.
Yeah.
If he's already building the new Tesla version of a Twitter somewhere, and you need those users to move. There's only one way to move them, and that's division and or fear.
Mm.
You know how it goes, the billionaire motto. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Got to make more money
absolutely.
somewhere else. But
Yeah.
demise, I don't think so. 2.0, definitely.
We'll
Oh
see.
man. All right, all right. Good chat, my good man. Good chat.
Yes, yes. All right. So the next question we got here, and I'm going to take my time with this one because the question itself may lead you down a troubled path,
It's thick. Pause.
but
Pause.
but we're gonna break this down. So, how do we eradicate the stigma of male intimacy? And I'm gonna break that down because my man KenKapnik, we went into the dictionary and we looked for the best way to explain this. So now, intimacy definitions, right? Close familiarity or friendship, closeness, a private, cozy atmosphere, an intimate act, especially sexual intercourse. Now, that last one is not where we're going with this, right? What I'm saying, and I got this from Trevor Noah, a friend actually forwarded me a clip where he was talking about this that mostly when guys say I love you to each other, it has this like machismo cadence to it, like love you, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Versus how females really have like that I love you. Like they have intimacy locked down, and this is what Trevor Noah is talking about because they've had the freedoms to express intimacy to each other without it automatically being assumed that they have a sexual relationship. Whereas, depending on, like we were talking about earlier, nature versus nurture, depending on our upbringing or our environment, if you say, yo, I love you to another dude, you may run into a situation.
It all depends on the mannerisms in which the words are said. Like how you broke down the male saying it versus the female. How I love you, bro. What's good, my nigga? Peace, love, all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of slowed it down for the females. Like I love you. I don't think the girls are saying it to that extent. Maybe not. I don't think they're. It's like yo, I love you, girl. Try to keep it as playful as well. I don't think they take it to the looking deep into your eyes, kind of, I love you. Kind of felt I got the vibe on the girl side when you said that. But please correct me if I'm wrong. But I think they keep it friendly on from girl to girl, just to kind of differentiate that awkward area. Cause you ever seen a situation with two drunk females at a situation, and one does say "I love you" a little bit too aggressively, and the other one picks up on the level of love this one's saying it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's immediately uncomfortable for the other girl.
Right,
It's
right, right.
like, oh, they like start buttoning up a little bit. It's like, all right, let me go call my Uber. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it. The word, I think the word intimacy is messing me up, and it's still. I'm trying to
Right.
grapple with it.
That's the point. The point is we've we've learned in our experiences that intimacy ultimately translates to a sexual relationship.
Hmm.
But it's not necessarily all encompassing as far as sex. It can literally be just a close knit bond that we have. Like we've picked apart the meaning of intimacy and separated it so it doesn't put us in a group that, like you stated, makes it seem awkward. So, for instance, with my son, I'm very close with my son. I kiss him every day. We are very close. And I hope that he holds on to that intimacy as he gets older and he has good relationships so that he can make people aware that he's comfortable with who he is and showing his love to people. And hopefully they can understand that there's a separation between when he says I love you to another male versus when he says I love you to the woman he's chosen to be his wife or his partner, whatever he decides.
Hmm.
And in that particular case, that's where I get where Trevor Noah's coming from. It really takes you removing your lens right now and saying, all right, let me erase everything that I've known or learned or thought I knew about intimacy and say, what does it really mean to be in close familiarity with someone?
As far as just having a close connection,
Yeah.
time, history,
Mm-hmm.
trials, tribulations, ups, downs, multitude of items, but a lot of those I just said is what would build that up.
Mm-hmm. So if we're talking about eradicating the stigma of male intimacy, right? So now, for instance, I remember being a young kid on a train, and you would see a female laying in another female's lap, and you wouldn't think nothing of it. She was just knocked out sleeping, and she was on her friend's lap. If you saw a male laying on another male's lap sleeping,
Yeah,
and it
that's kind.
wasn't a child, younger or whatever, it was the ultimate. Oh, that's considered to be in that class. You know what I mean? You would consider to be, you know, gay.
Hmm.
So how do we start to get to a point where we don't assume that a close knit bond automatically means that they're a part of the, LGBTQ plus community?
Close is cool. Too close is not cool if that's not the level of relationship that they're trying to portray.
Right.
I don't think there is a distinction as far as intimacy slash close connection. Like guys have a close connection, lovers have intimacy between each other. I think that's the actual difference. I think the word intimacy being so close to the word intimate is what always derived it towards the sexual thought that comes to people's heads. Um, but the stigma of a male connection is something I would champion for
Mm-hmm.
because everybody has males have male friends. There's they're bros. This is what they are, and they all have close connections. But I don't think those same male friends would ever classify themselves as having intimacy with each other. I think that word itself just
Right.
is just more of a sexual
Right.
sense.
That's exactly the premise. It's the word.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally what we've been trained to think that word means. So I just looked up intimate on the Oxford Language Dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
Closely acquainted, familiar, close, private, and personal. A very close friend when used as a noun. None of those words have any type of sexual connotation to it, but everything you're saying is exactly what Trevor Noah is talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's been drilled in our head that if you say the word intimacy, it automatically means a sexual connection. When sex is sex, that's the word. So how do we get to the bottom of changing that? Because now it can lead to a more open-minded thinking of how males can have better bonding situations. We're not here trying to say that you should be, how do I put this? You should be forced to come out of your comfort zone and be closer to your male friends. But it's just getting rid of the stigma. The question is exactly what it is: getting rid of the stigma of male intimacy.
Now, devil's advocate. If you
Mm-hmm.
have a male coworker that you're close with, and your partner asks you, "Are you intimate with him?" How do you respond?
Now that I have a better understanding of the word, yeah. Now, my partner may not be ready for that if they don't have an understanding of the word.
Definitely won't be.
Yeah. And that's what the
Like,
question's asking.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
because that word intimate. It's
Yeah.
weird. Not weird. I know that it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as same sex and that word being in the middle of it, it kind of gives off a sexual vibe. I don't know why. I
And I
don't,
think a lot of this has to do with traveling the world. Other cultures do handle this a little bit better. Well, not all cultures, but being a part of the Latinx community, it's completely different for most of them. You know what I mean? So for me, with the males that I know that are Latinx, we have a very intimate relationship. And I know for y'all listening, it's going to sound like it's more than what it is. But yeah, we get around each other, we hug, we say, I love you. And of course, when liquor's involved, you know what I mean? There's the occasional kiss on the cheek. But that's in the culture. And we all got women because that's our choice. We know it's not a sexual thing. So there is existing relationships among men where it is considered intimacy. Now, do they see it that way? Probably not.
at
They'll
all.
probably say that's just my bro. But in hearing Trevor Noah break it down, it's like, are we just scratching the surface of how close knit we could be? Because we see, and we're gonna get into it later with Kyrie and all that stuff. We see how quickly as men we're able to come after each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's almost like when a peacock spreads its feathers. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? We can't wait to show how manly we are. But when it comes to showing intimacy, sensitivity, in those cases, we feel like it's a weakness.
Sensitivity, I'm all for.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get with the intimacy part. Yeah, sorry, intimacy part. I
Mm-hmm.
just because I'd rather just say the word close connection. I know it's two words, but I'd rather just say the phrase close connection because
It feels better.
I can't shake it. Even knowing the definition, even you breaking it down to me in many layers,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even feel comfortable asking that of another male.
Right.
It doesn't feel right. I don't know.
Yeah.
But how would you begin to break it down?
You would need to listen to Freedom Cage Podcast, episode 49.
Come on, man. Gets no better than that. Come on, man. Go subscribe right there, man. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Nah, but everything you're saying is spot on, bro. This is exactly why it intrigued me, because that is hard.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? That is very, very hard. I mean, think about just acceptance for the LGBTQ plus community.
Mhm.
That was hard. It's still hard, but we've made progress given maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it was like no go.
Mm-hmm.
And probably even farther back, it was damn near cruel what happened.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So it is going to be progress, and I hope that at some point there is more conversations about this, because the same way we're making strides with mental health,
Mm-hmm.
this should be something that eventually gets brought to the table.
All right, I respect
Yeah.
it. I get it. I'm not sure if I would use it going forward still,
Right.
but I understand. I understand your viewpoint on it. I like it. It's interesting though. Very good topic point.
Yes, sir.
Male intimacy and breaking that up. Interesting. Definitely gonna use close, but but I understand it though.
I can't do it. I'm
I
not
can't.
ready.
I'm not man enough. I'm not. But I understand it. That's
It's all
dope.
good.
That's a dope concept.
Yeah, it's all good,
All
man.
right. Only a Freedom Cage podcast.
That's what we
Man.
do. Free state of mind, baby. Free state of mind.
Gotta open up the cage. Okay. All right. Kind of spin off of the intimacy wording. If I know, scratch it. I'm not even gonna. Dang, what else we got? Not even gonna go down that blog. Nope.
All right, so this is for my hybrid working, remote logging in, checking into the office with your cup of coffee and your robe and your comfy slippers, folks. So now, we know what 2020 did to the workforce, and remote work is a thing now for those who are doing it. So I read an article on LinkedIn that was talking about could the hybrid model, which is both remote work and coming in the office, lead to the rise of the chief remote officer. Now, what they're highlighting here is remote work is not that easy. And tracking the productivity and return on investment of it is even harder. You got to worry about worker morale. You got to worry about the settings that they're working in, confidentiality of the company's information. You know, our relatives walking back and forth, looking at their screen, what's happening in their workplace at home. And then the data-driven aspect of it is the productivity. So companies may have to assign someone to literally be responsible for tracking all aspects of this.
Define tracking.
So it comes first is the digital sense, right? Being able to track, are they using company equipment to do things that aren't necessarily
Company base.
exactly, right? You can put in all the firewalls you want, but are they using the company's server to go on certain sites they're not supposed to? Granted, I get it. IT can do things, but they can only do but so much, right? Are they being productive at work? That's a tough thing to track, right? Hey, listen, I went in the system. I'm working. You now have to have someone who's an application specialist that can run the right reports, see how long they're in the system, what activities they're actually performing, and are these activities beneficial to the company? That's the digital portion of it. Then there's more of the, remember in the cubicles or in the office, you used to just be able to look over your monitor or look to the left or right and see if, you know, your
If Joe Schmo was doing what he was supposed to be doing.
exactly was at their desk, was being busy, just eye view. Now you either gotta use Microsoft Teams, Zoom, FaceTime, or call to make sure, you know, just check on this employee, right? Let them feel like they're still connected. Then there's the actual aspect of the actual system, making sure that their laptop or whatever they're using at home is functionable, and they're using that to the best of the ability as well. And if you're a company that has more than 4 people,
Mm-hmm. Most companies.
you know what I'm saying? That can get tricky to those who probably have thousands of people who are remote.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg let everybody know at Meta the other day. I don't know what y'all niggas doing, but y'all got to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's a. I don't know if the remote officer per se would be an actual job solely. It's gonna suck because it kind of falls on you being already a manager as you were pre-remote. The next version of you, whoever after you move on up to president and somebody takes your job, when they get trained for your actual position, there's gonna be a whole nother chapter on
Mm.
how to also do this job and also how to assist the remote version or the remote workers in their space and how you need to now upkeep with them, make sure they're doing what they need to do, make sure their keystroke per minute is where it should be,
Mm-hmm.
their application usage, like you were saying, is that the minutes per day where it needs to be, just to check the productivity level of these remote workers now. I don't know if someone solely will be coming in to be the manager of those doing that remotely. I think it's unfortunate. It's going to be more work on the existing manager that knows the job, and another caveat that they're going to have to entail. But fortunately, that would mean more money. Like I technically have 2 jobs now. Like you wear 17 hats anyway, but
Mm-hmm.
now you have 18. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? I think it's
Yeah.
because trying to hire someone to do that chief remote officer is probably gonna only want to work remote, and that's not gonna work. So, you know what I'm saying? Who's gonna watch you? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think your job, unfortunately, is just gonna get harder as it has been
Mm-hmm.
because you've been forced to do that with going back to work, coming back home, making sure those that never went in did what the fuck they had to do.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get bigger shoulders, bro.
So that's a great point. In a employees market,
hmm
that's a tough sell.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, because you can't give me a bigger load and not a stronger back,
hmm
like my friend Frank always says. And to tell this crop of employees that
And let me
you're going to have to be responsible for the technical portion along with all the other job responsibilities,
mm-hmm.
there's going to be companies who are going to look at that as visionaries and just create the role. Because now it is hard to try to monitor com- computer productivity on top of the hybrid in office productivity. There has to be a focus on how are we doing from a remote standpoint, a digital standpoint. Otherwise, everybody would have an IT function.
And honestly, everybody needs to. It's hard. Like if your job is any computer-based application, you're an IT guy within yourself, or girl. You, this is your workforce. This is what you're doing. You got to do both. It sucks, but it's gonna. When you read the new job titles or descriptions, and it goes expected role.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be another paragraph after the first 7 paragraphs that let you know what this job entails.
Mm-hmm.
You have the option to either accept this job or not for the pay that they're willing to issue. And a lot of times people would just accept the additional layer of work that they'll have to now do. It sucks. It's going to just be more work. But hey, if you don't like it, McDonald's is there. And you know what I mean? It sucks. Like, I hate to have like a boss's mindset, but it's like tough cookies. Unfortunately, it sucks. Tough
I
cookies.
I do think there is a distinction between the user and the actual application analyst, because it's different if you log into the system to use the system
Mm-hmm.
versus logging in to analyze the actual activities in the system. So those reports that a lot of managers run to track productivity are created by an applications analyst.
Mm-hmm.
And to run more extensive productivity reports that track keystrokes, length of time in the system, that has always been an IT function.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to start to filter down IT functions into a management role, it's almost bridging the gap between having a ridiculously um ridiculously significant pay gap.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you probably go from, and this is just me throwing numbers out there, potentially 70K as a manager to a potential 140K as an applications analyst job description.
Now, I'm not saying to relieve the analysis job
No, I'm not saying
onto
that at
that
all.
person. That analyst is gonna have to make a better version of the app that's being used, and similar to how you get reports every day for what is happening, this is something that's going to be built into the report. The keystroke, the app usage. All you got to do is review the numbers that you already received from the analysis. That's what they do. Let them continue to do what they do, but now they will be giving you a report that stated what was done on the analysis end. And you, as the manager, you do a quick review, compare it with the monthly average versus what employee A did. It's like, oh, yeah, either above it or below it. This is gonna be a simple black and white number. Like, oh, it was kind of slow this week, as you can see. You know what I mean? But I don't think it's gonna be something where they gotta. You would have to go in and literally tag and do that yourself. That's not your job role. Your role is to manage. You manage reports. You manage people. It'll be another report on your desk, though. Unfortunately, I think that's what it would
That's
fall into.
that's where the actual application and analyst, that's the separation though. Because if it's to monitor the staff's work, that's the productivity point. To monitor the productivity and usage of the system,
That's
that's
IT.
separate. Yeah.
Yeah, that's IT.
Right. So that would fall under the chief remote officer's role, because it
Hmm.
really could, because if you think about the difference, right? Currently, every manager is busy trying to manage productivity, day to day functions, errors that they're finding
Hmm.
that the team has to run into and fix. If you're gonna tack on, okay, on top of managing that, we need you to make sure that all of these employees are utilizing the system the right way. I need you to
You,
track,
you
are they
can't
going on the right websites?
you can't control training. What do you mean?
I didn't say anything about training. I said, on top of tracking the productivity, the activities that they're performing in the
Mm-hmm.
system to make sure they're doing their actual job function, we're also telling you to track how they're utilizing the company's system. Keystrokes, how long are they in the system? Are they going on the wrong websites?
And that's a report that comes from the analysis side.
That would be the chief remote officer.
That's
Because
is
if
that the
if
analysis
I
guy.
give you a specific job function to monitor the system,
Mm-hmm.
the hybrid model of how remote workers are working, that's separate from your job. If your job is to let's say your job is to manage customer service.
Mm-hmm.
Your job is to make sure that calls are being handled in a good time frame,
Mm-hmm.
patient complaints are down,
Mm-hmm.
and you're making sure that you know exactly what's the average call reasons for people calling the actual company.
And those are all reports you receive, right?
Those are reports you receive.
Okay.
But that's separate from tracking the actual productivity of remote work.
Now, who does the tracking? That's the
IT.
analysis, right? Analysis gives you another report.
Yeah, but we can't put that on the manager to track the system, the remote work, the actual activity of remote work.
Mm-hmm.
That's separate.
I'm finding I don't see the connection there.
So if something happened where a core reason wasn't working in the system,
Hmm?
the manager can't fix that.
No, it's IT's job.
Right. If something happens where your laptop is not connecting to a server, the manager can't fix that.
No, see the IT all
That would
personnel.
fall under the chief remote officer because the actual remote work, the
Hmm?
actual activity of working from home,
Hmm?
that would fall under the chief remote officer. There is a distinction.
Hmm.
Because my manager, if my manager is a manager of customer service, they're not a manager of remote applications
There's still a manager of productivity though.
of customer service
Whatever the job entails, they still are to oversee productivity,
for
and
customer service.
whatever the job is.
But if you have a company that has multiple areas, then how am I going to ask the customer service manager to also monitor remote activity?
why would he need to do that if he's just worrying about productivity and customer
And
service?
that's exactly why they're saying the chief remote officer could become a thing, because while they're doing their job function every day, managing the day to day, there's someone managing how the team is actually utilizing the remote work system.
I don't think they're managing that. They're just documenting what happens because you can't control it.
Yes, you can.
How? You can't
Because then
control
you
what
can,
somebody does remotely. You just
if
can
you're
monitor what's
monitoring
happening.
it and tracking it, yes, you can.
You're not
Because now
controlling
you
it.
can tell that employee, listen, we've seen that on Tuesdays and Thursdays, every day, all those days at 12 o'clock, you have a gap where you're not working and it's not your lunchtime.
Yeah. And you receive that in a report from analysis.
But that would come from a separate area. You said it. It's the IT area.
Yeah.
So that's where
There's
the chief
IT and
remote
his
officer
manager.
would
The
come
guy in the
into.
middle doesn't need to exist. I still don't see the purpose.
Because IT is already working on the actual problems in the system.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a gap between what IT's fixing and what the manager is managing. Nobody's monitoring the actual act of working remotely. It's a gap.
It's a gap, but those two parties have to come together to get that
Not
done.
necessarily.
Similar.
All right, so
I'll
respect
give you
your
another.
opinion,
I'll give you
but-
another analogy.
Okay.
With plumbers, you have plumbers that work on the inside of the house. You have plumbers that work on the street. The plumber that runs a new pipeline from the main only runs it to the property line. The plumber from the inside of the house only runs the plumbing to the edge of the house. How does the pipe get from the edge of the house that the interior plumber worked on from the plumbing that the plumber only worked on from the street to the property line? There's no middleman between there and there. That plumber and this plumber have to join forces to get that connection. There's not a new middleman pipe guy between the street and the house.
Is there something new about that middle activity?
No, it's not my jurisdiction. It's not your jurisdiction either. But this connection needs to happen.
Right, but is there something new happening in the middle? Is there something different about what happened on the outside or the inside?
Nope, this is my job. That's your job.
Right.
Our jobs don't cross this line, but we got to make our jobs meet here.
Right. Remote work is something new for the manager and the IT person. Tracking actual productivity and actual usefulness and utilization of remote work is new to both parties. That's a gap.
I think you just need a better system so it doesn't have to be a gap. It could be something that's just tweaked and,
And who's going to
monitored and
develop
recorded.
that better system?
IT. That's
How?
what they do. They don't create apps. They don't make the system better
So they're going to take an analyst away from what they're doing
to create a better
to monitor
system.
that.
To create a better system where they don't have to sit there all day long. Once the system is in play, this is what everyone goes through. Then it spits out a report. No one has the time to do all that. No one. I don't even know how you
So
could.
that's a cost-effective way of looking at it. But
Yeah.
at the same time, there is a gap because now you're leaving everything to automation. The manager
That's the
doesn't know
point.
what it means. Yeah, but that's where you actually lose the actual benefit of improving. Just because it works doesn't mean it can't be improved.
Oh no, that app's gonna continue to improve. Things are gonna get added. Things get removed.
That's automation. You try to take away the human impact. Number one, you're losing the actual tracking of that. Because now, if you're talking about just spitting out reports and sending it to someone, that someone doesn't know what that means.
They
What
will
does
be
this mean? I have a report in front of me. I don't know what it means.
all right. You'll be trained to know what this report means, and now that you know, now you could work with it.
That so who's gonna train them?
Whoever needs to, the trainer. What do you mean?
What trainer? Nobody knows. There's a gap with remote work. Nobody understands how to track it. It's new. It's 2 years old after really taking over the world. You mean to tell me somebody on IT is just going to figure out how to track remote work and then teach the manager, and the manager's just going to figure out how to do it?
No, it will be a process. There'll be training. There'll be a new caveat, but the same two entities will get the same job done with the new layer of remote.
That's a dangerous area of oversimplification. Dangerous area of
It's
oversimplification.
life.
It's life?
Yeah.
Nah, that's wild. Because
Oh.
there's nothing simplified about life. So I don't know. I don't get that analogy. There's
No, there
nothing
was no
simplified
analogy.
about life.
There's no analogy there. It's just A plus B still needs to equal C.
Yeah, but we got D, E, and F this year, 2 years ago, and we didn't know what to do with that. People had to learn on the fly, and it's still a gap that people are struggling with. Like, you can literally look it up. People are struggling how to really analyze and track how remote work is working, and that's why the article was saying, could this be the rise of someone who actually makes that a full day to day at a company? Because this is what they'll be looking at. And we're not talking about if you're a mom and pop and you got 5 to 10
No,
workers.
we're talking thousands upon thousands of
Right.
employees, real
That's
corporations.
thousands and thousands of reports to look at, on top of, if you're giving this to the manager, the thousands of reports, the thousands of emails, the meetings they have to go to, the reports that they got to do there. That's a lot.
The only reason I would keep A as A and B as B, because I'm sorry, A, let's move it around. Keeping A as A and C as C, and you're creating this B to know 50% what A does and 50% what C does.
Right.
Why wouldn't you just hire 1,000 Bs? A and C won't be needed anymore. Now
Because-
it's one person that knows enough of this, and that same one person knows enough of that. We don't need A or C anymore.
Because all right, so say you hire 1,000 Bs. That's a lot of FTEs. That's a lot of health insurance you got to pay for.
A and C's are no longer needed because I got 1,000 Bs that could do a little bit of that job and a little bit of your job.
So the answer is to remove jobs and consolidate
Replace
them
them.
so people.
Replace them with what's actually needed. Growth.
So I understand that if that's a position to grow into, but if you're going to reclassify a position,
You're creating it.
that's a dangerous thing to do, because people may not be so if I got hired for a position, this is where labor laws protect me.
Okay.
If I got hired for a position, you cannot completely change my description. You can tell me you're going to terminate it at some point, but you can't reclassify what I
Not
do.
reclassifying, adding layers to what you do.
But that's the technical term. Like, if I come in as a manager and I, like you said, I have my whole job description, and now you're adding a remote tracking, an analytical portion to it, that's reclassifying my role, because that's not the traditional job description for my management.
This is no longer a traditional job. I'm happy you went here. This is no longer a traditional job.
And that's a reclassification.
No, it's an upgrade on what you do. We can't fire you because of labor laws. So now we need to increase what it is that you do, because we can't let you go and we can't hire 1,000 Bs, remember?
If you're the manager of an accounts receivable team, there is nothing in accounts receivable that says I need to track remote work. There's nothing in
Does
it.
remote work exist in accounts receivable?
No.
Then
Remote
there's nothing
work
to worry
is
about.
Remote work is its own area. It can encompass all of these things.
I know, but you specifically said accounts receivable. Is there remote work with accounts receivable?
People who work AR are working remote, but it is not a function of AR. You don't need remote work to do accounts receivable, but we're using remote work because of 2020. People had to still be able to do their jobs, but the office is open. So remote work is not a requisite to do the job. Therefore, it cannot be a requisite of the manager to track that.
It's another layer that the manager will have to adapt to.
that's a reclassification, man.
That's cool, and we'll give you that pay bump for the extra work we're doing.
If that's the case, then who's gonna manage that? Because now,
You're already managing it.
If I'm the director of air, now I got to retrain the director. I got to give bonuses across the board because who's gonna manage the manager?
Money has to come out the company some way to manage this new area.
Where?
I don't give a... No, who cares? Whoever was going to do it is still going to do it.
So you're going to bump up all the managers, all the directors, instead of just creating the chief remote officer? That makes no sense.
Why not? Same funds.
But it's going towards one person. Instead of... So if you have 5 managers and let's say 10 directors... That's 15 people you got to give bonuses to for. That's going to exceed what you would pay that one chief remote officer.
Oh, so you want
By
that
leaps
one?
and bounds.
So you want that one chief remote officer to handle what those 15 people should have been doing?
If it's their only function, why not? You give them 1 or 2 analysts. That's 3 FTEs versus bumping up 15. And their medical.
If you needed 15 people to do that job versus 1. Those 15 people are inadequate. What do I need you for if one person
They're
can do that
not
job?
Inadequate because they're serving their purpose.
And they're still serving their purpose with an extra layer of work.
But it's costing you more.
How?
Because you just said
when I asked for this to be done.
But you have to bump up those 15 people. You just said it. They all get bumped. So you'd rather give 15 bonuses and medical versus 3 FTEs that can possibly handle this.
Correct. Because who's going to train them? Nobody knows the job, right?
You said between IT and the managers.
Yep.
Right?
They have to figure it out.
If they're tracking remote work, this can be assigned to one person.
There's nothing to assign.
The remote work tracking? You can't assign that?
Nothing to assign. That's something within the manager's realm. You're still overseeing productivity.
The productivity is separate from tracking the actual use of remote work. Like, so say for instance, the
It's
remote policy.
That's an automated item. No one's going to be sitting there looking at someone else's screen via bird's eye view all day long. No one has that time to double check that layer of work.
That's an assumption. Bro. That's an opinion. That's an opinion.
How?
Because if you have never seen that actual report, then it's an opinion that someone can't look at that all day, every day.
You lost me there. I don't know what that...
So if let's say there's a progress report on how work queues are being utilized in a system, right? There's someone who has to look at work queue activity every day.
Yep.
So the same thing can be said if there are reports or there are dashboards on the actual remote activity of users in the system.
Okay.
And if someone is assigned to that, if that's their job, then every day they're looking at how the remote work is actually being utilized, how the systems are performing, how they can be optimized, and how they can optimize where the actual employees work.
Making the existing system better, right?
Making the activity of working remote better, yes.
Okay.
But you want to put that on the manager who already has to make sure that their workers are doing their job and they're meeting their quotas and their standards.
You're the manager. Manage. It sucks. No one wants to be the manager when it's that time to manage, but it still has to be done and managed.
But that's not a part of what they do. You're throwing something on them when you can clearly allocate resources specifically to it. This is what's wrong with the workforce.
I'm saying, but it's the workforce.
Nah, man. Nah.
It is.
I agree to disagree with you.
Totally fine with that. Totally fine with that.
That's what's wrong with it because that's exactly why we have unions.
Yeah, and we can't fire y'all, so y'all got to do more work.
But you can't do that in a union. That's why we have unions. You can't do that to them.
But the work has to get done. We'll battle this out. We'll go to court, but until that comes down in court, it has to be completed. It can't just sit there. Like the last 2 years.
It's a new task. Huh? It's a new task.
Yeah.
But
so that's similar to remote work being a new task.
But
now that we have a new task, we have to do new tasks.
But that won't be a mandate on the managers. You can't mandate it. You can't.
You didn't
It's not a part
mandate
of their job function.
remote work ain't mandated neither.
In
But
some
it's
cases, it
done.
is. In some cases, it is. If they
And then
don't longer,
and in some cases it'll have to be
it'll have to be what? Mandated to
mandated.
track remote work?
If that's an issue that's causing problems and money's being lost, of course.
Not to the managers. It can't.
Who's it gonna fall on?
It will have to be a new area that focuses on it. It'll lie with IT to some point, but then they'll have to allocate resources to it. It happens every day.
I'm happy. It sucks that you said that, but you started that sentence with it'll start with IT.
It lies with IT right now, unfortunately, but it has a gap for it to be assigned to a true
And not that
area.
it hasn't been working up until this point, because the rise of a chief remote officer may be a thing. But until it is a thing, something is happening at the moment. It's not very effective, but still moving. Correct?
So in this particular case, the whole thing was, could that be a thing? And you said no because it would fall on the management.
Correct.
So now if we're going back now and we're saying it's currently working because IT is managing it, yes, nobody's fighting that.
Nope. Except the
whole,
IT guys.
The whole goal of the question was, could this be a rise of the chief remote officer? And from what I remember, it was saying it would lie on the manager. They would just get more work. That was your response.
Correct. IT and manager alike.
But the managers don't have that. It falls strictly on IT right now. So that's why they're saying, if there's a gap there, could this be the rise for the chief remote officer? And it makes sense, because if you want the managers to keep managing efficiently because the business is growing, and you want IT to focus on optimizing the actual function of the system, somebody needs to look at, from a remote standpoint, how is both sides making this work?
Who trains them? This rise, this space.
So
IT guys?
who trains them? It will be a mixture of both.
That's what I'm scared of. Now you have a new crop of people that know just enough amount of this and know just enough about the amount of that. So once this group gets bigger, stronger, smarter, and like every other position in any other office, more stuff gets added to their pile. What happens to the first two? If they know your job and they know your job, why do we have both of you?
Because you're assigned to something specifically.
And they're not? What do you mean?
They're assigned to remote work.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not about eliminating jobs here. It's about finding an area where there can be more focus. It exists in every job. Like, it's a little different, at least for the remote worker. And I guess we could just put this out there to people who are working remote, because every day you see that you're dealing with the day-to-day activity, but nobody's really thinking about how is this remote work really going, because they're so busy worried about meeting the quota, worried about reducing their workload, and just making people happy as far as cash collections or whatever the metric is. IT's worried about making sure that when these people are working, everything works to the best of their ability. If you're going to ask the IT guy who's worried about putting in the right field and making sure the right characters are in there, oh, on top of that, I need you to make sure that remote work is optimized for these people. It's going to be too much, because it's going to hinder something.
You know what's going to hinder? Remote work pay. The remote workers can't get paid as much as everyone else, unfortunately, because there's no way to monitor productivity at the moment.
That you are absolutely right about, because that's another situation where it can actually either reduce or raise your pay. And I'll tell you why. A lot of people with remote work went to another state or even another country.
Yeah.
And technically, the COLAs that you get in your check applies if you live in New York.
Correct.
So if you move to Florida, they got the right, at least in some sense to look at your check and say, well, you don't have the same cost of living as the person that's coming in the office or living in New York. I don't know if they have the right to change your check yet, but it is something that I think companies are going to start looking at. Now, where you can get them to bump your pay up is there is actually a little law as far as when you use your own electricity for your business.
Yep. Very true.
That companies have been getting away with at the moment. And we're talking about 2
Gray area.
years of back pay.
Yeah. Cell phone usage, Wi-Fi, electricity, all that good shit.
Yeah. So that, I 100% agree with you.
I think, because unfortunately, until there is a real chief remote officer, they're going to continue to downgrade the pay of the remote worker because they can't monitor fully as to what you're doing. We give you tasks, you turn them around, not be as quick as we want, but we're not paying you as much as we have to neither. Right. So it is what it is.
Right.
But yeah, man, that's a good convo. See, I
love
this. So I love this guy, man. I love this guy, man. For anybody that works strictly like flipping burgers, I'm sorry you had to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but if you have any sort of computer-based work, yeah, you get that. That's a cool little spill for you just now.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
Transparency?
I think we kind of went into that a little.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
All right. Oh, it's that time,
It's
man.
time. All right.
It's that time. FCP Minute News featuring your man, KenKapnik. Last one for the year.
All right.
We might have to bring this to the live.
A lot of pressure, but I'm up for the challenge.
All right, brother. Let me know when you are ready, and I will start.
Ready when you are, my good man.
All right, go.
There is a new power couple in the world. Miss Puerto Rico and Miss Argentina are a thing. They'll never have kids as a real unit, but whatever, man. Hey, I'm down. Whatever they want to do, do it. There's a funny meme going around with LeBron James just lying about shit. And it's funny because he lies about things he doesn't even need to lie to. But if you haven't seen it, go catch it.
Yes.
Earth's population is slowly approaching 8 billion. And Nick Cannon's about to have his 11th kid. He's helping one nut at a time, unfortunately. A guy got caught with TSA. Seems he was trying to bring a handgun on a plane through a holiday meat. I don't know if it was ham, could have been chicken, but nonetheless, whatever. And 21 Savage, he feels he can beat anyone in that double XL freshman class, which I believe, but designer has something to say, and he's bugging. Timmy Turner, nah. Nah.
All right.
Did it again.
That's what I'm talking about, man. All right. We're going to do a quick stopover in sports, man.
My man Smokephi, man. Yo, Beej, Smokephi. My brother, my mans. I know Green Bay ain't been doing what we thought they'd do, man. But if you hear this, I sit with you, bro. I get it. Losing to the Lions last week was not dope. Not dope at all. And we're talking pre-Cowboy game, so if y'all lost that one too, my man, you really down and out. I really hope y'all won that one before this one dropped, but I'm here with you, Mr. Smokephi Beej.
Yeah,
I'm here
man.
with you, man. I know the Packers are your squad, but some years are going to be rougher than others, man.
Yeah, man. And they keep tying it back to losing Devontae Adams, but I think it's bigger than that.
Nah, it's Devontae. He's gone. Like this, defense is I could throw 8 in the box straight up.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing. There's nobody out here we're worried about. Everybody's single covered, couple yards back. You have no outside threat over there, bro. We're rushing you. We're sending an extra man every time. You got no time to throw. People in your face all day. It's tough right now for Mr. Rogers, man. It's tough. You got to go change your sweater and his shoes, man. It's tough.
All right. And staying on football, man, Mr. Brady, regardless of losing his main thing,
Whole
he's still
family
out here. He's still out here breaking records, man. Officially the first NFL quarterback to pass 100K passing yards.
That's a lot of yards, bro.
Yeah,
But yeah, man,
man.
20 seasons in the league, I do it at a high level for the most part.
Yeah.
He's got it, man. He's definitely
Absolutely.
goated for life.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
This NBA thing with Kyrie.
Yeah.
Before we even get into it,
Mm-hmm.
are you with Kyrie or are you against Kyrie? Is that the right question right now?
It's for me. It's not that black and white.
Right?
It's,
Okay.
Yeah.
It's gray. It's weird.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So if you're asking me how I feel about the situation, I feel what he has to do to get back on the team is ridiculous.
Correct.
I feel like that's overkill. But I do want to take this moment to say we got to recognize the traps that they set for us as black people.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you notice right now, it's black people against black people judging each other for voicing their opinion, which is the same thing we said Kyrie was doing.
Mm-hmm.
He was voicing his opinion. He was trying to find himself, a la Louis Farrakhan and what he was saying. We gotta be careful because right now, all this energy we're spending fighting each other, we're losing the battle to better each other.
Yes, yes.
And we still don't control a damn thing.
Mm-mm.
That's where I stand on it. How do you feel, brother?
I stand with Kyrie. Fuck it. Yo, and I hope he get his back pay for that vaccination shit, bro. I want all my money back from home games. I was forcing niggas to take a shot. I told niggas I wasn't with it. Said it wasn't necessary for my occupation. You made me say it was okay for away joints. But I need all my home bread back like I'm a regular NYC worker. But on this stance, I do wish Kyrie answered a few questions a little bit better when he had to. The fact that he kind of pleaded the fifth on it and kind of just let it dwindle is what really got certain religions and I guess communities up in raw, so to speak. But even with that, he was a black man, rich black man that spoke his piece on him doing personal research and knowledge and just figuring out where the ancestor before him was and what that came to be today. You know about the video, H2N, and he came across some things that he brought to not even announced or said, just said, hey, I saw this, check it out. That was the extent of the retweet. I don't even think he had any words beyond it other than a retweet. Just say, hey, check this out. See if you're as enlightened as I was. A lot of people took offense to it. Phil Knight made a video because Nike severed ties with him, just stating, hey, he doesn't think, even after Kyrie goes on this apology tour, he still doesn't believe he'll ever be back on Nike. And that's nuts. This is still stemming from a retweet.
Right.
That's what's fucking with me. Like, granted, whatever the video had, and I still need to watch this. I know it's a little over 3 hours, but I gotta see it just because I'm curious now at this point, just to see what this movie involved and how bad it seems to be to certain communities. Because for them to just go, we're good all together. He spoke about it, but no one's stopping Jeff Bezos' check.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you kill the DJ or the vinyl maker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who's responsible for playing this music? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, somebody, I don't know. It's weird. But the way this backlash has turned this, it's way too much at this point. Way too much.
I agree. Like, the whole, you got to complete these steps. It's like, wow. Okay, so they really trying to make an example. And that's where it's like, this is too much.
It's too much. It's a little too much for me personally.
Yeah.
Well beyond my pay grade, but I don't know. Shouts to Kyrie, man. Keep your head up.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, if anything, this is your time to start your own shoe company, bro.
Yeah.
And if people really stand with Kyrie, they'll go support it. We'll see who's really got his back then.
Yeah. Might have to go to Lening.
You know?
I ain't wearing them shits though. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Random question before we close out.
Shoot.
A lot of people that I've spoken to said they are not going to buy any more Yeezys.
Mm.
If Yeezy has a wild collection somewhere, say he's got a factory somewhere with some of your classic Yeezys, and I'm gonna be specific, Red Octobers,
Mm-hmm.
those turtle doves.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about classic joints that used to sell for thousands of dollars. And he puts up a site and starts pumping them joints for like 50. You
Mm-hmm.
buying Yeezys?
I think I would get him as a collector's item because as soon as I hit confirm, like Nike's suing him because he doesn't own the rights to the design, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's like, even though he created the design, he doesn't own it. So that whole trademark infringement thing is big. You can't sell a Nike shoe without the Nike logos on it.
Right.
So it's weird. But Adidas plans on selling the Yeezys without the Yeezy logos on it.
Yeah.
And honestly, they just turned themselves into a Payless store. Like,
yeah.
just, to sell a shoe without the branding, bro, and still say it's us, the brand, that's fucking nuts. But whatever, man. That's another.
And you know somebody at Skechers is pissed off.
Yes.
They all pissed off. So not only did y'all remake our shoe and put Yeezy on it, but now you literally gonna sell our shoe.
Yo.
That's wild.
Like, Adidas becoming
Oh,
Payless,
man.
I did not have it in my 2023 bingo card. But Adidas is going to be the new Payless if they just start pumping Adidas shoes without the Yeezy logo on it. Like,
Yeah.
and what is the box going to say? It's going to be in the regular black box with the white shit?
Yeah.
The white stripe? I don't know. I don't know, man. It stresses me out as I'm wearing Yeezys as we speak.
Yeah.
It stresses me out. But whatever, man. To each his own.
Absolutely.
They gonna burn in hell for that shit. Yeah.
So
Nasty
yo,
times.
man, listen. It's that part of the show. Any last comments, man? This is our last show for the year.
Hey, Brittany Griner, we
Yo.
hold you in our hearts.
Word.
I know they moved her to the something colony. Is it Penal Colony?
Yeah.
It's just I just was told that the conditions there are way worse than where she already was. So I don't know, but I'm getting the Stranger Things Moscow vibe where they was like damn near on a railroad. Like I don't know what they're putting her through, what she has to go through. But our hearts are with you. You're still in our prayers, and come home soon, hopefully somehow, man.
Yeah, man. That's tough. I pray for her. I pray for her wife.
Yeah.
Last I heard too, they nobody's even gotten in touch with her since this transfer.
Shit, niggas in Rikers got cell phones. She do
Yo.
not. She do not. It's different.
Yo,
It is
man.
different.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's crazy.
yeah, man. Thanksgiving coming up in a few weeks. Happy turkey.
Oh,
Gobble
yeah.
gobble for those.
Yes, sir.
A lot of good birthdays. My man right here, Big 39 once again showing up.
Yes, sir.
Oh man, Chris. He's gonna be 11,
10, I think.
10.
I think him and Darius the same age.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh man, Chris is getting big.
Yeah,
A lot of
man.
birthdays in November, December.
Yeah. Happy birthday to my mom too. You know, my mom, my aunt.
The
We share the
twinsies.
same birthday. Happy birthday, y'all. Tony, my brother, November 26th. A whole lot of birthdays.
Yo, this November 15th to like January 1st is so thick. Pause. Yo, no breaks, B. No breaks. Cashapp gonna be ringing.
You know it. You know it, man.
Yo, Ab too. Early December.
Yes.
Yo, everybody, bro.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Everybody's getting hit.
Yeah.
Shit, Kennedy, middle of December.
Yes.
Everybody's coming up.
Yeah,
Christine. Yo, everybody's coming up. Yo,
the
like,
whole gang, man.
Jesus. But yeah, man. Much wealth, much happiness to everyone's birthdays that they're celebrating last couple weeks of the year, man. We salute you and love you, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. Listen, it's a great time to catch up, man. Just because we're done with new episodes don't mean you can't go back. There's a lot of good shit you probably didn't hear or need to listen to again. Subscribe, follow us on all the platforms. The merch is live. My man just put the hoodies back up.
More shit coming.
You know what I'm saying? So make sure y'all go support. We're on TikTok live. We're on everything. So make sure you tune in. We're going to keep the Tuesday lives going. November 22nd, we got Sunny Speaks Vegan.
Yes.
Celebrity vegan chef. Shout out to Christina and the family for connecting us, man. We're going to get into some vegan cooking.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're thinking...
And not that cauliflower shit that
yeah.
She let me know up front, said, yo, it's not that
man.
Cauliflower shit. So please tune in.
Yeah, and I heard she got some spicy talk called Vegans After Dark. So we're going to get into that. We need to know what that means. You know, it sounds like some ecstasy stuff is going on with the vegan food. I can't wait to hear more, man.
Gotta tune in.
That's a fact. But listen, my man said it. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Hope you guys are healthy. Hope you guys are well. And for the last time for 2022, you are now released back into your regularly scheduled program. Corporate life, parental life, entrepreneurship, whatever it is that you do, we salute you. I'm SenorLee.
And KenKapnik.
See you in 2023, baby.
Yeah, man.
When we lock back in.
Yeah, man.
To a free state of mind.
Yes, sir. Episode
Love
49 right here. We out.
We out.